appreciate Chief Isakson coming. About a year ago when Chief Coffey came and asked who we should bring, he's the first guy that came to my mind. His message of fast water and water wins, big water, flowing water, and putting the public first, putting them before us, and training so that we can do that safely and effectively, ties in very well to what the IFFD is trying to accomplish with our culture, the changes that we've made over the last 4 or 5 years. So it was a perfect fit. So we appreciate him here. We appreciate his message. Please pay attention and enjoy it. Give the time over to Chief Isakson.
Good morning, how you doing? Real quick, Chief, you can keep it loud too, it keeps me from talking too loud. So I can actually survive all day. Good morning, everybody, have a good evening. Real quick show of hands, who was not here yesterday? Hold them up high. Okay, so about half the people. Just lets me know, so the people who were here yesterday, a couple things, I'll hit it kind of hard because at the end of the day, I teach a lot of classes. For 7 years, I was the contract training officer for Okaloosa County, which is a lot of different departments like Panama City, South Walton, 30A, Destin, Okaloosa Island, Fort Walton Beach. So long story short, people ask me about the program. I literally have over 100 PowerPoints that I built myself. But at the end of the day, what really drives me every day, waking up and going to bed, is, in a simple terms, gallons per second. Hit it hard, hit it fast, and back it up. Water's the equalizer. Water creates and maintains survivable space. Then before us, and when I say then before us, that does not mean without calculation or risk management. And if you want to reduce line of duty deaths, you just train them. It's that simple. Anybody listen to my buddy Shannon Stone's podcast yet from Refined by Fire on Brothers in Battle? Anybody? 1, 2. I suggest you listen to it. I think it came out about 2 or 3 days ago. Stephen Tyler does a great job. Shannon is Stone and another guy named Max Gallen are basically, if something were to happen to me, they would run the show for County Fire Tactics next to my wife being the boss lady. But so listen to that. It's an awesome program. And for us, we believe in forcible entry. I own 4 different door props, 4 different types of door props. I got, whatever, I have a dozen set of irons and K-12s and all that other stuff for that training. But for me, my message is the message of what I would want the firefighters coming to my house at 2 o'clock in the morning if my house was on fire and I was in Idaho and my kids were sleeping and they were at the house. Do you force a door at every single fire? How many of you would say half the fires you go to, you didn't even have to force a door? Raise your hand. Let's just be honest. Half the fires you go to, you don't even have to. Think about it. I'm not saying that forcible entry is not important. I'm just saying we better be better at stretching a line, flowing water, know your flow, understand the big 3 we talked about yesterday: desired amount, desire to reach a location, desired combat mobility. Understand what I talked about yesterday, just to bring everybody up to speed, is for me, when I talk about the standard residential fire flow rate that's been accepted for over 25 years, if you're in a court of law bringing whatever you define as experts, is 2.5 gallons a second. It's 150 gallons a minute. It's 2.5 gallons a second. That's a water can every second coming out of a nozzle if you're blowing a 7/8 smoothbore or a 150 at 50 ball nozzle. When you leave here, especially one yesterday, I probably said it a dozen times, I want you to literally put that in your brain that if your organization has done flow testing with pitot gauges and flow meters, and you're meeting the national standard, it's not a debate. It's not Curt Isakson. It's not Bill Gusson. It's not Ray McCormick. It's not Ted Corporani. It's not Brothers in Battle, Cody Trestrell. Coast to coast, Chief John Norman, Chief Vincent Dunn. It's not them. It's a nationally accepted practice. It's not an opinion. In a court of law, in 2020, if a firefighter is overrun by fire and their family hires the highest paid lawyer, they come after your fire department, they can prove that you never flow tested your hose and nozzles with a flow meter or a pitot gauge, and you're using an automatic nozzle flowing 80 gallons a minute, I guarantee you're going to be a liability as an organization. Because the articles go back to the early 90s. Who's been in the job long enough to read the articles back in the 90s when Andy Fredericks, Bill Gus, and everybody else was talking about the future of the heat release rate of combustibles that have now been in our homes across America for 3 decades? And to still have fire departments They truly can't tell us exactly how much water they're getting out of the end of their nozzle based on their hose and nozzle package is 100% unacceptable. You're derelict in duty. But I guarantee you, you can tell us exactly how many IV bags you got in the medical box, how many gauges and nasals and arrows and whatever else all that stuff is. But as Andy Frederick said 20 years ago on a big stage, an AED will save one person's life. How many will a properly operating hose line flowing the proper amount of water placed in the right position? How many lives did that save at one incident? Hundreds, if not thousands, depending on the occupancy. Who's familiar with Our Lady of Angels? In the early 50s in Chicago, killed nearly 100 kids and nurses. I'm a huge fan of the Chicago Fire Department. But is that a fire that drove tactics and the foundations of one hose line and what to do with it, controlling the stairwell, based on the thought of the fire starting in a trash can? Guaranteed. When we talk about gallons per second could be a residential one-room kitchen fire, bedroom fire. It could be an attached two-car garage underneath the master bedroom of a two-story private dwelling. Or it could be that upholstery store that looks like it burned a block from my hotel here in Idaho Falls that you probably had, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month ago. I can tell there was a fire there. So gallons per second transcends residential one-room fires to commercial fires. It's understanding that the flow should come down to seconds, because if we're truly exceeding the fire flow requirements of a given fire based on its heat release rates, the BTUs, we're going to see a significant change in fire conditions in seconds. Not minutes, within seconds. So when you leave here today and tomorrow, I really challenge you to figure out exactly what your booster tank will do. Remind yourself when you're looking at that silver water can, that 2.5 gallon water can, and if you're truly flowing the 150 or greater, that's a silver bullet. I'm not talking about the Coors beer. That's a water can coming out of your nozzle every single second when that nozzle's open. Does that not paint a picture for you? The power of 2.5 gallons a second of water can every second coming out of it. And for the half of you who were out here yesterday, if you're running a 750 gallon, raise your hand again. Who in here runs a 750 gallon booster tank? Raise your hand. Hold it up high. Be proud. Who runs a 1,000 gallon booster tank? Awesome. Who runs a 500? I'm not talking about your plants because it's confused anyways, but just one. That's all right. We'll leave you alone. You're related to Rob Fisher, so I don't give you a free pass. 750 gallon booster tank. That's 300 water cans. We talked about it yesterday. A third of you raised your hand and said you had a 1,000 gallon booster tank. That's 400 water extinguishers. Now, if you pulled up on a kitchen fire in the front yard, there was 400 water cans. Would you be thinking about catching a hydrant? No. But when you pull up with a 1,000 gallon booster tank based on your culture and what's passed down to you, and somebody regurgitated it, and your training division, the ISTA manual, and whatever else, you just keep passing on stuff over and over and over again. Where's the second due engine? Let's just be honest. Half the fire departments in America on a kitchen fire or a one-room fire, 2 fire, I don't know. What's the second due engine doing? And if they don't, could they possibly be in the chief's office the next morning? Guaranteed. It's because we want to make it so basic that it's unacceptable. We ought to be more advanced than that to understand how much water it takes. Because we all know that if I told you, if you went in there with an inch 3/4, how long would the nozzle be open to knock down a fully involved kitchen fire? Who agrees it's going to be less than 30 seconds? Raise your hand. So if it's 30 seconds, even if you're flowing 150, and some of you yesterday admitted you really don't know what you're flowing, so you're probably flowing less than 150. But if you were flowing 150, it only takes 30 seconds to pull out a fully involved kitchen. And Idaho math, how much is that? 75 gallons of water. 75 gallons of water. So with a 750 tank, at least 675 gallons, right? But you got that second due engine that's sitting in a hydrant down the street. Oh my gosh, man, it's going to fix the world when they lay that 5-inch pipeline to you, right? And while they're laying that 5-inch pipeline, little Susie's on the second floor. She's just dying for you to get there. But you were so consumed with catching that hydrant that the hydrant was more important than Susie. You know that's true, right? And I tell you that because little kids, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas are dead today. It's a factual statement. It's 100% undisputable. They are dead because the American Fire Service sucked at understanding water application on a bread and butter fire. That feels good, doesn't it? But the truth will piss you off just before it sets you free. As I was talking to a couple of people earlier about gallons per second, I started teaching this program 15 years ago. I knew it was validated when Captain Bill Guston, 43 years in a Miami-Dade fire department, sat on the front row with a yellow notepad and took 4 or 5 pages of notes. Within a matter of a month, he sent me an email. He's a friend of mine. Within a matter of a month, he sent me an email that told me that the battalion that he works with for, where he was the company commander for 25 years in Aerial 2.2, Liberty City, one of the highest crime areas, highest fire activity places in the country. It's like the south side of Chicago or Compton. And about 13 years ago, Miami-Dade, 4th largest fire department in the country, Liberty City, where these were sent the president's doctor, trauma surgeon to Liberty City. You know why they sent the surgeon for the president of the United States to Liberty City Trauma Center? Because there's enough high caliber round shootings there to look at they practice. Surgical people have been shot. So they had the experience that the president never got shot. That's what I'm talking about. And guess what they do in Bill Guston's battalion? They run the booster backpack. They do what I'm going to talk about today. Maybe taking notes. The most powerful thing I'm going to talk about today is loading up the first 2 rigs for 2 tanks of water, 2 pumps for redundancy, to get 2 apparatus for the staffing, and go for 3rd rig for supply. Because so many times, all we need is that second new rig to get there. We don't need the water, we don't need the pump, we don't need the tools and equipment. We just need the 2, 3, or 4 people that arrive on it to help the people on the first arriving rig do what? Get the first round in operation properly, the staff to get it where it needs to go, to use the water that you're carrying around in that booster tank. And then hopefully, if we have enough people to properly staff that line so it can move in for the kill, to equalize the fire, maintain and create survivable space, what can we possibly assign 2 of those additional firefighters in that secondary rig to do? What a concept. You mean search is a priority? Bob Russell, retired FDNY, Rescue 3. 1999 on a big stage in front of over 5,000 people at FDIC. Who's ever been at FDIC, the big room on Wednesday morning? A couple of you? Huge, packed out. Bob Russell, I sat on the front row in 1999 when Bob Russell got on stage, and he offended a lot of people. He said the American Fire Service is killing 1,000 civilians a year. The American Fire Service is killing 1,000 civilians a year. How is the American Fire Service in 1999, in his opinions, killing 1,000 civilians a year? Because we were allowing them to die of loneliness. What do I mean by that? We left them there so long before we actually located them in their beds, in the hallways, and on the couches, and we were so pathetic at removing them because our training in the fire service that we call search and rescue was really searching with our hand on the wall, with somebody behind them holding onto the boot. Who was ever a part of that search training or recruit school of fire cameras? Raise our hand all together and be honest, and we'll just admit to it. Is that how you would search if it was your children that were trapped? No, it's not. Talked about it yesterday, just for refreshing. You want to save more civilian lives that are trapped in buildings? Make sure your department knows what an oriented search is. Understand the size of the building, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the difference between carpet and tile, where the doorways and the hallways, that can be a kid's room, that can be a mom and dad's room. And then feel in the bed, you know, should I be checking for a bunk bed? Is it a queen bed, a full bed, a double bed, or a king size bed? And if it's a king size bed, I might have a walk-in closet or a walk-in bathroom. And what location of the house would that be? Probably give Charlie got the corner, it's the master bedroom, the kid's gonna be on the outer side. And if it's a master bedroom, it's gonna be on Charlie got the rear or Bravo. My friends, all that stuff makes sense. But it only matters if when you pull up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't even have to think about it, it's just muscle memory. You want to save lives? Make sure your organization is grounded and has an SOG and operations on effective first floor VES and second floor VES. And understand that when you take them out of window and when you bring them down the interior stairwell. Because I'm going to tell you right now, 100%, I said it yesterday for the folks that weren't here, it is a factual statement that the American Fire Service saves more civilian lives every single week. Every single week. I know through firefighterrescues.com, through firefightersurvey.com, the people here on the Pacific Northwest created of the Firefighter Rescues, that some more civilians are saved every single week in this country than firefighters die in an entire year from interior fire attack. It is disgraceful and completely unacceptable that anybody in the American Fire Service ever thought about putting us before them when we're going with our union contracts, asking for all the benefits, the high pension multipliers, and some of the pay that we ask for. And then you'll be in line at a fast food restaurant or a Starbucks, and raise your hand if you've ever had a civilian that you didn't know pay it forward to you by buying your coffee, buying your lunch or your dinner. Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. If that hasn't happened to you, that means you just got the fire truck last week. They're not doing that for school teachers, but they should. They're not doing that for the people that pick up your trash, but they should. They're not doing that for so many other individuals. They're not doing it for nurses. They're not doing it for doctors, but they're doing it for you. We're one of the only occupations in America where a civilian that does not know you will buy your coffee, your lunch, or your dinner, and you'll go back to the firehouse and you'll be so entrenched on reading some of the propaganda about putting us before them. Don't wear the shirts that says, I fight what you fear then. We go where you will not, and all that other propaganda stuff out there. Because you want to save civilian lives, it's going to be done in residential neighborhoods in suburban America. That's where it's going to be done. Suburban America is where we can make the biggest difference. Small, normal-sized cities and towns. They're already doing it in the big cities. Big cities are full of people out almost every week if you follow all the websites. It's pretty common. There's some pretty heroic conditions. So you and I, as county firefighters, which encompasses like Idaho Falls, just anything in between that, rural, suburban, urban territories, we have got to follow the urban firefighters on aggressive operations. And the numbers are on our side. They really are. The numbers are on our side. And I'm going to tell you, when we're aggressive, are there going to be mishaps? Are there going to be mistakes? Are there going to be ultimate prices that are paid? Yes. Guaranteed. We're the ones that were here yesterday. I personally, firsthand, on numerous occasions, know the tragedy of losing a fellow brother firefighter. Personally, on my job, multiple times, and then firefighters across the country. But at the end of the day, we learn from it. We try to keep it from happening through training. We put, as my father would say, one foot in front of the other and move forward, just like our U.S. military does. We talk about our SEAL Team 6, and we read books like The Mission, The Men, and Me, and Jocko Wilco, everybody. Anybody read any of that kind of stuff? Raise your hand. Jocko Wilco type stuff, right? If you're going to read it and it's going to motivate you, and you're going to believe in it, then why don't you live it? Think about that. If you're going to read it and listen to those podcasts, and you're going to look at Instagram in the morning and you see where Jocko does it, he woke up at 4:32 and that motivates you, then why don't you get up at 5:32? Why don't you just do half of what our U.S. military does for us when they voluntarily sign up after 9/11, knowing that we're going to war C? I grew up in a very, very strong military town. And don't take that out of context. But was it easier in 1998 to sign up for the Army, the Navy, the Air Force than it was in 2002? Think about that. Was it easier to sign up? Is there a possibility that people that signed up in 98 would not sign up in 2002 because the risks were way more obvious and in our face? So realize that everybody that signed up since 2001, they know the risk, right? They know the price it's going to pay. We're still living 18 years later. The unknown of worldwide terrorism. So if we're not going to sign up, and real quick, for those that have ever served active duty, reserves, please stand up. Please stand up. Let's give a round of applause for serving. Thank you for your service. Greatest country in the world. We don't need to make it great again. It's always been great. And one of my biggest insecurities is not serving based on my grandfather, my father, my mother for 40 years, serving in a high capacity as a civil service administrator. And for me, since I didn't sign up and join one of the branches, all I can do is try to give back to my community where there's a lot of military people, and being ready to prepare for the worst call of my career, being able to get there and throw the ladder to the third floor of a 3-story larger McMansion where little Susie or Johnny may be trapped, and I truly know what it's like to extract somebody out of the window, not just, hey, I got him. Because a lot of you, when you went to recruit school, they taught you how to search, hold on to the wall, hold on to somebody's boot. Well, raise your hand if during training when you found the rescue dummy, they just told you found it, they said leave it there, raise your hand. If sometime in your career that's what happened. See, that's how lazy we are. You know why they told you to leave it there? Because the instructor was so lazy they didn't want to drag the damn thing back in the building. See, if it was a real training, it was really about them, and it was really not just about search, but it was about search, and the most complicated part of search is rescue. We have to drag somebody out. I know for firsthand, there's nothing good feeling about it. They show themselves, they pistol themselves. I mean, everything gets in your way. Their clothes come off. If they've been burned, their skin comes off and it's on your gloves. So we're going to train on search and rescue unless you train on really truly having to remove them from something more than just inside the front door. When we do a recruit school, a Beyond Minimum Standards program in Escambia County, we'll get at least a minimum of 6 rescue rangers. We'll hire anywhere from 2 to 4 firefighters. They're not even instructors, and their job is nothing but rebuild fires. And if we're doing search and rescue training, that when they go in, they're on the second floor is a family of 5. If you find somebody, what do you think you have to do in our training program? You will move all the way outside and physically pass them off to a simulated BLS or ALS state by company. And then when the scenario's over, guess what those 2 to 4 firefighters that were hired do? Their job's to do nothing but reset them dummies every single time. Drag them out, drag them back in, drag them. Because search is the easy part. It's how fast can you remove and extract them. How fast can you remove and extract them. So as we talk today, understand that engine company operations, down to a second too, is about us. Because if we're doing proper engine company operations, in an environment today where ventilation is needed more than it's ever done before, it's just more complex based on the fact that taking the wrong window at the wrong time, prematurely fitting a roof can basically, multiply the fire. Then we need stronger engine company operations with better water application in a faster amount of time. So we talked about it yesterday. If we get to a fire, we need to line properly stretched, properly staffed, in the proper location. And the sooner we get the fire put out, if a firefighter is disoriented, does get lost, is involved in a collapse, is there going to be a higher survival probability based on the fire's been suppressed and that we can focus on a routine rescue them, a Mayday operation? Guaranteed. So when we talk about fast water and intercompany operations, it is about them. It's about them, and it's also about property. Don't forget that. Property still counts. What is one thing that a lot of fire chiefs become obsessed with on a grading scale? What is it? Where they want to be a high grading number? Oh, ISO. So insurance ratings still do that. And what's ISO all about? It's for the insurance companies to decide how much they should charge you based on if you have a fire, how much money will they pay out in insurance. So if ISO and the insurance companies know that your fire department cannot control a kitchen fire and maintain it to a kitchen fire, then the insurance ratings are higher. That's what ISO 1 really is about. We haven't perfected it though, because can you have an ISO 1 because you got all the check in the boxes, but you still really can't effectively suppress a fire, right? Because you're just consumed with all the check in the boxes and truly about fire ground operations, if you will. So this morning before lunch, we talked about it. I'm primarily, I'm going to get all different things. It's going to be about the first 2 engine companies, or the first 2 apparatus that are carrying water. Because some of you might have an ambulance or transport, but it's about the first 2 engine companies. What can you do with the first 2 apparatus that carry water? How much water? For some of you, that's 2,000 gallons of water. Raise your hand if the first 2 engine companies would be 2,000 gallons of water. Raise your hand. You should be able to suppress 95% of all the fires you go to with just those 2 tanks of water. Not saying you don't need a hydrant. That's a good, solid insurance policy. But the majority of the fires, and I'm going to show you a slide later, that 90% of all fires in NIFRS, National Fire Incident Reporting System, in this country are reported they're extinguished with 1 or less than 1 attack line, being possibly a water can, and they're extinguished with onboard water supply. That's from the National Fire Incident Reporting System. Who uses NIFRS, where you report all your incidents, right? So those numbers are from NIFRS, not me. Nationwide, New York City to LA, 90+% of all fires are extinguished with onboard water supply, the first right engine company, in 1 or less than 1 attack. Don't you think we should be highly focusing on being the best we can on those 90%, and then we work to be as good as we can on the other 10%, right? Because if you focus on being great on the 10 and you suck at the 90, that's not a very good operation, is it? No. That's not going to save lives and property. And I've seen it firsthand in Escambia County, where in 2000 we only had 10 4-person engine companies on duty Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. And then we went to 1 engine company that was on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the Corps. And as the only on-duty battalion chief back in 2004, covered all 664 square miles. I was the only on-duty battalion chief for 664 square miles, 350,000 people, all the way up until 2 years ago. I was able to respond to any and all incidents in the entire county. And for me to look back to 2000 or even 2005, and now today, today, we have 14 stations fully staffed out of 23. You think I'm seeing more smaller fires or more bigger fires? It's more smaller fires. The number one complaint people go to our job for 20 years, we don't go to fires every day. No, we go to fires every day. You're just like, you're not going to a fire that was 3 districts over 10 years ago because half the house was on fire because the first two engine company took 10 minutes to get there. Most of our populated area, engine companies on scene in less than 5 minutes, and what are they doing when they get there? They're doing a booster backup. They're stretching a line. They're getting in the door. They're getting water on fire. I've seen it. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I went from 2000 where we could keep a mobile home. In 2000, we could keep a trailer burning for an hour. Whoever's been to a trailer fire, you kept it burning for an hour. Like, seriously, like, you know what I mean? It's crazy, but you can do it. It's possible. I've been there. Or a shotgun house, wood frame. Today, if an engine company in Scandia County pulls up on a fire and they say, whatever, engine 17 to Scandia, on scene, single wide mobile home, 50% involved. Second new engine company 3 minutes away. When they get there, where's that second new engine company going to see? White smoke. White smoke. Because they're going to apply what they call a B-Watch Blitz in our department, where they take a 50-foot section at 2.5 by the engineer's department, they bowl out a 50-foot at 2.5, they hook it into the number one discharge, they throw a nozzle on it, they throw about 60 pounds of pressure in it, because they only need 50 for the nozzle, they give about 10 for friction loss to make it easy to manage, and they're going to knock that fire in the face in 30 seconds with 150 gallons. They'll actually put out more fire with less water because there was no premature vaporization. There was so much water that I put in a 5-gallon bucket on a cigarette. Wasn't like having that fire in Yellowstone Park. We had a campfire for 3 or 4 days, and all you had was 5 gallons of water. You had that 5 gallons, and you drilled a little hole in the bottom. Everybody imagine a 5-gallon bucket over a campfire, and you drill a little hole like the size of a pencil, a regular pencil. And if that water was pissing, what would the fire do to that water as it came through that little hole into the campfire? It vaporized it. And when the bucket was empty, would you want to put your hand down in the ashes? But if you took that 5-gallon bucket, the same amount of water on that same campfire, and you imagine that little campfire with all the bricks around it. Can everybody see that little campfire? And you took that whole bucket and you dumped it all in that hole simultaneously. Would you more likely be willing to put your hand down there just to make sure there's no hot coals? That's what fast water is. 2 gallons per second. That's what eliminating premature vaporization is. Applying so much water that you're not steaming it off and you're not wasting water. You're seeing that rapid results. You're truly hunting with the big gun. For the ones that weren't here yesterday, I've basically been in the fire service my whole life. Got my first set of marker gear on May 21st, 1988 as a junior firefighter. At that time, I was allowed to ride the rig, catch hydrants, throw ladders, stretch lines. I didn't do anything but legally go inside. Not saying that I ever went inside before I was supposed to, but at that time I was legally allowed to do anything but be inside a burning building. So for me, that was a big deal because at the time when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you idolize everybody, don't you? You look up there. I mean, I wasn't old enough to decide that John was really an idiot and Bill was smart. Everybody said anything. I soaked up all that information and had a complete open mind. Grew up where my dad was a chief, 2-station fire department, 35,000 people, 25 square miles, 30 miles of coastline, a lot of extrications, a decent amount of fires. And then my first paid job was a fire inspector right out of high school. I'd already been going to dual enrollment to Pensacola State College. I was a fire inspector, City of Mary Esther by Destin. First job riding as a full-time paid fireman was the Pensacola Fire Department Local 707. First captain was hired in 1963. His first captain was hired in the 30s. 17 I was on duty in a 2-story station, 7 bunk beds, 2 brass poles, and 3 roofs for the captain and chief. It's the coolest thing I ever did, man. I was living my dream. And then when the county took 16 volunteer fire departments, they were kind of like Kentland. Everybody knows what Kentland is. Very busy fire activity area, just kind of like Kentland is. And they decided they wanted to pay fire department 1 fire chief. I was recruited in 2000 to go to Scandia County for a 23-station fire department. The cool thing about Scandia County for me, and based on me traveling the country, is we have a little bit of everything. We have over 100 high-rises on the coastline. And yesterday the chief was introducing me. What he said is true. In a 24-hour period of my career, I've been to a barn fire and a high-rise fire in the same 24 hours. I've been to a grain silo rescue up in farmlands, and that afternoon we were out of Pensacola Beach, pulling people out of the Gulf of Mexico with an extractor spread like we use in Hawaii. So we're very, very diverse. North end of our county, about 250 50 miles of it is nothing but farmland, all volunteer tanker operations, and the south end is urban high-rises. I don't know, we have like 4 trauma centers. So very diverse area. And I tell you that because I know what it's like to go to a fire and have 1 or 2 people in a 2,500 gallon tanker, and the closest hydrant is a mile away. A mile away. Could be more than that, but guaranteed easily a mile. I know what it's like to go to a fire and have a hydrant in every single corner. I know what it's like to go to a fire and pull up, and when you're first doing, I was in Pensacola, ISO 1 fire department, get on the radio and say, engine 2 fire alarm on scene, Queen Anne Victoria. And if you paused, it would be engine 1's on scene, ladder 11's on scene, rescue 31, and we were piled up with like 3 or 4 engines, the ladder, a rescue, and a battalion chief. You couldn't get anything on the radio because all the rigs were just boom, boom, boom. And I don't know if that's better than just pulling up with 2 people sometimes, to be honest with you. I mean, I call it the bottle banging, right? Everybody wants to be in a wood frame shotgun house, everybody's just bottle banging. Everybody know what I'm talking about bottle banging? And now as a chief, sometimes I'm like, hey, hold up, I know you want to get some smoke when you're here, but we got like 8 people in this 800 square foot house. So just stand by outside right now. They're sucking up enough oxygen. So of course, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about this morning is booster tank management, time in the tank. Who's timed their tank before? Right? Everybody should time their tank. Maybe do it when it's above freezing so the water can freeze. Time in the tank is basically where anybody can take any pictures of any of the stuff you want. Time your tank is taking your engine company with your booster tank with a primary attack line that you use, stretching it at the drill tower or a grocery store parking lot and flowing it without shutting the nozzle down to see how many minutes your booster tank can sustain an open nozzle for 1 3/4 inches. Some of you, with your 1,000-gallon booster tank, are going to get anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, depending on what you're flowing. Think about that. Some of you are going to get 5 to 6. Is 5 to 6 minutes with 1 3/4 open without shutting it down, is that a lot of firefighting? That's a lot of firefighting. So put it in a different perspective when I explain it that way. It's kind of like when you fill up your tank with your car and it says you go 458 miles, right? You're like, you really want to drive 458 miles right now? You know? It's a game changer. And we need to understand our booster tank and how long it will survive, how long it will last, what we can do with it. It's the same as you do in your vehicle and how long that tank of gas will last. Talking about booster supporting the hydrant, what do I mean by that? That's where you have a large fire, you're hooked into a hydrant, but the fire flow needs are beyond the capabilities of that hydrant, and you put a tanker on that hydrant, pump it, and you have the tank to pump open, and you're eating tank water, zeroing out the hydrant, and you're using tank water and hydrant water together for that initial 5-minute or 10-minute punch in the face. Everybody with me on that? Like literally, you're just like a booster tank attack, but you're eating tank water, and you're eating hydrant water together simultaneously. So a lot of fires in the history of the fire service that could have been extinguished if we were to maximize the tank water with hydrant water together. We pulled up and immediately we got a hydrant, and that hydrant maybe was only giving us 750 gallons of water. We got a tank with 2,500 gallons. And what's a 2,500 gallon tanker? I'll tell you what it is in easy terms. A 2,500 gallon tanker is 500 gallons in there for 5 minutes. They kind of neat when you look at it in that terms. Or it's a 2.5 for 10 minutes. A 2,500 gallon tanker is flowing at 2.5, 250 gallons a minute for 10 minutes. So you know this, man, I'm just trying to make you think about it in terms of that. Who in here has a potential, if you were got on the radio and called your dispatch, you could ask for a 2,500 gallon tanker, and you would get it, even if maybe you had to wait 10 or 15 minutes. Raise your hand. Right? So that's something just to put as an option to see. The fire service, city fire departments with hydrants, that's all they know is hydrants. Most city fire departments are not very good at even thinking about tank water. They just don't, they catch a hydrant, they do whatever they can with a hydrant, but they don't work. What do you say? Well, I just didn't have enough water. But in rural America, what do? They're not used to having hydrants, so they find a way to create dump tanks and draft it, and they truly create and make water that doesn't exist. So we can take rural America and have city hydrant fire departments understand, hey, we can understand that tanker operation stuff. So when we get a big fire on Main Street, we can use it. How many Main Street, everybody know what I mean about Main Street? Last night we were at the Kelp, a lot of old buildings down there. Is it possible to have a fire down there with all the old buildings and you couldn't get enough water out of your hydrant system? Guaranteed. And that would be when you pull up and you know, hey, this will be a 4-hour operation. You get on the radio and you call the departments that have the tankers, hey, send me 2 or 3 of them tankers, and you literally, off on a side street, maybe 2 blocks away or whatever, you set up a drafting operation, and that's not your only water supply. It's augmenting those 2 or 3 hydrants that you're zeroing out, on top of calling the water department to boost the pressure. Water accountability. Everything I talked about yesterday and today is water accountability. Talking about understanding time of your tank, gallons per second, the 2.5 gallon water can coming out that nozzle every second. If it's a 2.5 with an 1 3/16 tank, that's like what I call a buckshot, a silver buckshot. When you're flowing that 2.5 for an 1 3/16 tip, it's not 1 can coming out every second. It's what? 2 cans every second. 5 gallons, a 5 gallon bucket. Every second coming out into that nozzle, kind of like putting it on that fire. We have to open up and understand how many firefighters using string reaches it takes to flow a 5 gallon bucket every second, or 2 silver bolts. How many firefighters from a stationary position? 1. That's it. Pinning it down. 50 psi nozzle pressure. We can shoot a 5 gallon bucket every second, knocking down a significant amount of fire. Fast attack, boost tank attack. That's where it's at. Efficiency of water use. What's efficiency of water use? That's, if you're doing notes, that's water with the burning solid fuels, and understand that we want the water to travel through the flame interface and hit the walls, the ceilings, and we want a water map. We want to saturate solid fuels, mattresses, couches, chairs, TVs, furniture. Attack line deployment. Understand when and why we stretch 1 line, 2 lines, or 3 lines. There are times where you'll stretch 2 lines simultaneously. Understand that you want to staff one primarily and then have that other one on the ground ready to go, whether it's a 2.5 blitz in a 2-car garage. At the same time, one firefighter's getting that extra quarter. When a 2.5 done doing its job, you shut the nozzle down, and now you put everybody on that extra quarter to move inside to stop extension from the garage into the laundry room or kitchen, pull the ceiling to keep any extension that possibly went into the attic space. Nozzle position dangers. I'm going to tell you right now, the next fire you go to, and you're on the nozzle, you're breaking the threshold, I want you to think about me. It's not about me, but I want you to think about what I said yesterday and what I said today about black fire. And if I were to predict the next line of duty death of any suburban fire department on fire ground, would be the firefighter assigned to the nozzle of a private dwelling less than 2,000 square feet. And how am I predicting that? Based on the last 20 years and where the majority of line of duty deaths on the fire ground. Majority of line of duty deaths on the fire ground in the last 20 years was a firefighter assigned to the nozzle of the First Rod Energy Company of a private dwelling less than 2,000 square feet. I didn't make it happen. It's just what's happening. And the only way we can stop it is what we talked about yesterday, and that's to understand there's times when you're going to break that threshold, big black smoke is coming out like cotton candy below the doorknob. But the ones who were here yesterday, what are we going to do before we break that threshold? Blow some water off the ceiling. And it might just be 5 or 10 seconds. Shut it down, move in 5 or 10 feet. Open it up again, bounce it off the ceiling. All you're doing is creating a safer environment for them and us, and you have a higher probability of saving property. When we're talking about private dwellings, and your organization maybe adapts to what we call third due for supply, and you buy into third due for supply, don't get too confident. Don't get complacent. And then that one fire you have a year, one fire you have every 5 or 10 years can pull up on a completely rock and rolling commercial build down on Broadway or Main Street. And this is what you see on the ride. Is this a booster backup fire? No. You see this in the sky and you know the address. Last night we went to like 368 West Broadway or whatever it was to Kelp Pub Bar there, old downtown. You're going to that address and you work for Idaho Falls and you see a header in the sky, you might even think about the first energy company doing what? Catching a hydrant. Guaranteed the second. So we're not talking about bread and butter fires here. We're talking about, the booster backup. The ones we're going to hit private buildings. To pull up on a fire like this, I'm thinking about, man, I don't even know, I might need 2 hydrants. I might need 3 hydrants. I might need an engine company sitting on a hydrant. We talk about big fire, big water. You really want to maximize water supply when we're talking about a fire like this? We're talking about the big fires, rocking like we had just night before last at Fort Walton Beach. On my house, had a second or third alarm, garden department, 2-story, burnt the entire roof off the place, 2 ladder pipes in operation. We're talking about a fire like that. You better have an engine company sitting on a hydrant. The American Fire Service has got to wake up and stop thinking a forward static lay is the only way to get water. How many would admit that for most of the time when you catch a hydrant, the forward lane, you just get what you get based on the hydrant pressure? Raise your hand. Hold it up. Hold it up high so I know this is what we're talking about. Okay. How many of you, when you catch a hydrant, the engine's always sitting on the hydrant and they're using 25 or 50 foot sections of hose and then you pump the hydrant? Raise your hand. That's what you do every time. How many of you do reverse lays, where you reverse to the hydrant, the engine pumps back the same rate your hand. Just one. So you see that across the board, coast to coast, including my county, it's almost like we forgot what a reverse light is. What do you think almost every big city is still doing and has been doing since the test of time in their fire department? What kind of water supply do you think they do in Boston, in Chicago, in New York, in LA? When there's a fire in those cities, there's a hydrant. What's within 25 feet of that hydrant 99% of the time? What? A pumper doing what? Pumping a hydrant. That's why they call it a pumper, because that's what they're doing. They're pumping a hydrant. Because they know, based on going through a lot of big fires historically, the only way to truly maximize hydrant water is a heavy hookup, some people call it, or a full tap, where the engine's sitting on that hydrant using 50 feet of hose or less, either using soft suction, that when that pump is moving, is that releasing the amount of pressure that it takes a municipal water supply to push the water out? Is it making it easier for that hydrant to give more water? Guaranteed. I know using flow meters. So anybody tells you that a pump and gauge with soft sleeve, 2.5, 3 inch, or 5 inch cannot suck water out of a hydrant, they're wrong. Because I've done it. How do we do it? We hooked into a hydrant where we took a flow meter, we hooked it to the intake. Everybody envision this. A hydrant with a flow meter hooked into the intake on the engine company. And you got the gauge. And you turn the hydrant on. When you turn the hydrant on, the flow will make up a number. The hydrant, the flow meter says you're getting 400 gallons a minute coming in to your engine. And then we have the driver get into the pump or into the rig, and they engage the pump. Anybody ever top off a tank after a car fire with a pump's not engaged, you're just filling the tank? So that's what we're doing for this scenario. We're not going to walk through the line. You get somebody to get in the cab of the rig, they engage the pump. What do you think the flow meter does as soon as they engage the pump when an engine's hooked up to a hydrant with 50 foot less? It goes boom. Just like that. First time I saw that was, I don't know, 15 years ago. Captain Bill Rustin was helping me teach a class, and he was talking about it, he did it, and I was like, holy cow. I mean, it was amazing. Just engaging the pump was almost like sucking up, because what had I always been told you couldn't do with the newer LVH soft section hose? What was I told? You can't suck hose water. You can't suck water behind. And that's not theoretically sucking, you're just making it easier for that water to move, right? Less resistance, because now the pump, as the water comes, it's pulling, so there's less, there's not that restriction of it going through the pump and the pipe and the chasing. And so that's when I really, probably 15 years ago, got into really tapping into fully pumping hydrants and realizing that it all went from a 50-foot section to a 25-foot section. And how many of you have a hydrant where it's got the steamer and it's got two 2.5-inch boards? And on a good hydrant, when you go from a 3-inch line off the side to a 2.5 to 5-inch water, so now you have 3 5-inches coming off the plug, that even gives you the maximum water supply. On a weak hydrant doesn't make as big of a deal. And that's when I really started getting into when I need to have this, because yesterday I talked about it. There's 2 kinds of fires. 95% of them you can put out with the first engine or first 2 inches of tank water. And then it pretty much almost trumps all the way across the board where it's a fire like this. Even if you hook into 2 hydrants and 0 to valve, it's still not enough what? Water. How much square foot of fire do you think's there? It's hard to see because to the right is a whole Winn-Dixie store. That's a bunch of individual stores. But everybody agree that's probably over 12,000 square feet of fire. Right? It's hard to see that picture. And for those who weren't here yesterday, I just want to give you an idea, because I want you to understand that I believe in hydrants and that you're going to have some fires like this in your career. When you have 12,000 square feet of fire, the ones that were here yesterday, tell me what 12,000 square feet of fire is. It's 4,000 GPM, you're listening. And 4,000 GPM, relate that to the audience. What's 4,000 GPM? It's 8 rams, or mercuries, or blitz fires. It's 16 2.5. So right now, this fire, this is 12,000 square feet of fire. We did the National Fire Academy flow formula. Length times width divided by 3, you have to see we need 4,000 gallons a minute. And you look at that, and let's just be honest, how many of you would agree with your fire department right now, their pulse would be about 200 beats per minute, and they would be, everybody would be excited to go on berserk. Let's just be honest, raise your hand, right? And everybody would be, and I can tell you, based on my experience going to fires, they'd be walking around and saying, hey, chill out, what the shit we can do. All right, what's your name? Hey, Jason, do we have 16 2.5 here at the fire scene yet? All right, we have 16 firefighters that can just man those 16 houses. Oh, do we have 8 rams? Oh, okay, we'll just let it burn. No, this is kind of the truth. Sometimes our efforts are fruitless and we don't even know it. Right? The reality is, when you get to a fire like this, which luckily the first person on scene was Chief Howard, 36 years in the Birmingham Fire Department, retired in Orange Beach, Alabama, became the fire chief. And when he pulled up, he looked at me basically on the radio and says, "We're not putting out the fire, but we're going to save the Winn-Dixie." And he told the first engine company that got on scene, they pulled in, and they're all excited. They got the rig. Chief Howard looked at him and said, "I'd like you to drop the manifold and drop across the parking lot, fully tap that hydrant." And I mean, it was like you stole $1 million from him. Because he didn't want to use tank water, he didn't want to stretch the lines, he wanted to reverse over the hydrant. And the next rig coming in was ladder one from Orange Beach, Alabama, we were on mutual aid with. And when ladder one pulled up, he told them all they could take their air packs off. What was he trying to do to their state of mind? Calm them down. And he said, ladder one, let's take all the tips off to get down to a 2-inch tip. And when you set the ladder up, you stop water until we got the, engine one pumping a hydrant. And when he started flowing, they were trying to throw in the fire, but he said, I want you to go to right where the fire is not burning, between it and the Winn-Dixie, and I want you to just flow all the water we can right there. Because if you put on the fire, what is this amount of fire going to do to 1,000 gallons of water coming out of a 2-inch master stream? Just evaporate. But if you put it ahead of the fire, kind of like in a wildfire, what could he maybe do with 1,000 gallons of energy, let the rest of the fire just burn? He can stop it from burning all the way to the Winn-Dixie and burn the entire Winn-Dixie down. Because 1,000 gallons a minute, when we're going to put out this fire, 1,000 gallons a minute might do what? Protect the exposures. Now I'll tell you about the 300-foot drill. I challenge all of you to do the 300-foot drill. Who's heard of the 300-foot drill before? One person? 2 people? 300-foot drill. I've been doing it all across the country from rural Colorado, coast to coast. 300-foot drill is really how you sell your fire department, your driver operators, and your chiefs, that when you really need water supply, you need an engine company sitting on a hydrant. And I did the 300-foot drill because 300 feet is realistic. Even in Chicago, they have potential like 300 feet of supply line, you know what I mean, from one block to the next. A 300-foot drill is where you catch a hydrant like you do most of the time. You catch a hydrant, you do a forward lay of 300 feet of hose. Everybody envision that? Somebody, Johnny catches a hydrant, hooks the 5 inch to the steamer, and you lay out 300 feet of hose, you hook it into the piston intake, and Johnny turns the hydrant on. Water's coming into that engine company that just did a forward lay. And you deploy your deck gun or a master stream or a ram or a couple 2.5. And you flow water until you zero out your intake. And for simple terms, let's just say that you're going to take all your tips off down to a 2-inch tip. What's the flow of a 2-inch tip at 80 psi? 1,000 gallons a minute. So we did that 2-inch tip, and right as we made 80 psi discharge pressure on that tip, and we get 1,000 gallons a minute, we're sitting on zero. Would it be a true statement if the fire chief said, hey, we're flowing all the water we can, we're sitting on zero, we're getting 1,000 gallons a minute, right? So then, what you do is you shut it down, shut the hydrant down. Shut that hydrant down, you bring in a second engine company, you disconnect that 5-inch, so it's hooked to the hydrant. Everybody envision that? 5-inch hooked to the hydrant, take that 5-inch off the hydrant, pull an engine up, hook into that hydrant directly, with the engine sitting on the hydrant. That 5-inch that was hooked to the hydrant, what are we going to hook it to? The LDH discharge on the officer's side, right? It's up above the intake. Now that hydrant provides water to not just the steamer, but you do a full hookup cancer because you got the 2 side ports, and now you got coming in the piston intake. Maybe one of the 2.5-inch ports you use an enlarger to bring into the other piston intake, or either your 2 auxiliary intakes, however you want to do it. And now that 5-inch is 300 feet down the road, goes into that LDH discharge. All that water, that hydrant's coming into the engine. There's this little thing on the side of the pump here. Has a little bit of red black on it. You just turn it. You hear the noise. It's the sound of the pump. Now it's pumping water. Because you can push water, but you can't pull water at 300 feet. The 5-inch hose. Now you're maximizing that hydrant pressure. PIO, the deputy chief, gets on the 6 o'clock news and just says we had more fire than we had water. They really tell the truth. No, they're not telling the truth. They really don't know because they really don't understand water supply. We devalued the urban firefighter and what they've been doing the entire test of time, did we not? We devalued them wanting to put an engine on a hydrant. Because as good as salespeople are, we need them. In the early to mid-90s, into the late 90s, coast to coast, as the salespeople went fire department to fire department, where most everybody was doing double A's at 2.5, double A's at 3 inch. Who in here was on a fire department when you were laying double A's at 2.5 or 3 inch supply? Just a few, right? When I got hired, I was riding Tilbury, we didn't have 5 inch. The cabinet of glass in that 1976 American La France, we're in the reserve, it was a 63 La France. All the money went to pay our payroll, they didn't have money for fire trucks. And the captain was Captain Clark or Captain Ward, whoever my captain Stein, and hit the glass of an open cabin, back man in American La France, just screaming at him, old lumps on my head. Not those ones where you talk and tell jokes like you do now, it's a whole different time. And lumps on my head, oh. And when it got real cold, when it got down in the mid-30s, we were going to a fire tonight, and that engine gave off a little heat. Well, we were going to a fire and he hit that glass, and we'd be talking through some Clark headset. He hit that glass, and he wouldn't give me the finger, he was saying what? A single leg. If he hit that glass and he did one of these or one of these, what was he saying? Double leg. I got off the plug, I grabbed one or I grabbed two, and I wrapped that hydrant with a little 2.5 inch 4-way valve. And my job was to hook up to that hydrant as fast as I could. And the challenge that Captain Clark gave me that the week I got hired was, when you catch that hydrant, I challenge you. You never will beat me clamping that hose. And if I got off the rig and I grabbed it and I wrapped that plug, and I'd get everything hooked up, I'd turn that hydrant on as fast as I could, man. I was as fast as I could. I'd see that double A 2.5 going down the street like this. I can see it one day, I was going to a Queen Anne Victoria on the right street. Man, I'm lying. Then I was getting a little worried about it, so we get in trouble. Because when we got to the back of the rig, and Captain Clark got off the rig, just about the first coupling on the asphalt behind the rig, what he did with that old 3 inch hose coupling that was painted red. He clamped it on the captain's side. Driver got out, and on his side he had a clamp. He went to the rear of the rig, and he found the first couple behind the tailboard. What did he do too? He clamped it. And when that water came down the street like this, and they got to the clamp, and whoop, it flipped over. It didn't hurt nobody. They hooked them into the 2 auxiliary intakes, they undid them clamps, and a water supply. And I was able to book and boogie down the street, you know what I mean? And I got down there, and I got to fight fire. And that's what I did as a tailboard firefighter. And then a salesperson started coming coast to coast, and they came out of the firehouse. They took the fire chief out to lunch, right? They never took the firefighters out to lunch. They take the fire chief out to lunch. They went out to lunch with the fire chief. They told the chief, man, after they wanted that nice steak dinner, you buy this 5 inch. You won't ever have to talk that hydrant anymore. It's like laying a main on top of the road. Just catch it late down the street. It's like laying a municipal water supply line down the road. I'm telling the truth, I don't make this stuff up. That's what they told us. Friction loss don't exist in LVHOs. It's big water. And guess what? You and I, suburban American County Park, we bought off on it. LA didn't buy off on it. Boston and New York, Chicago, they didn't buy off on it. That wasn't it. Party we went was going to buy it. What they doing? They were hooking into a hydrant, fully tapping it. They were letting the pumper push water because pressure is still okay if we're using it for supply. We became so brainwashed that everything had to be low pressure. I do believe in low pressure. We're talking about a tap line we're going to hold in our hand. But there's a time and a place for a pumper to pump water and push water instead of trying to pull water. And we, the fire service, have to understand that friction loss exists because just for simple numbers, and it depends on a brand of hose and a lot of things. But let's just go to the old flow. And I hate using a flow chart, but we're going to use it for this. 1,000 gallons a minute friction loss and 5 inch hose, the most common number used in my career is 7 pounds per 100. That number varies on a brand. Let's just say it's 7 pounds per 100. 300 feet, that's 3 times 7, that's 21 pounds. Could 21 pounds be a big deal if your hydrant's only giving you 50 psi of water? So how do we overcome that 21 pound loss? We put an engine, a pumper on the hydrant, so there is no loss, so you can do what? Now that 51 pounds comes in, you can do what? You can jack it up to 71 pounds, so when it gets to where it's going, it's the same as when it came out of the hydrant. I'll make it in simple terms, because I can talk about big fire, big water for a day, but I'm going to give you just enough information so the chief or whoever else, when the weather's appropriate, you can go out and you can time your tank, and you can do the 300-foot drill. and you can test all these operations. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I'm going to tell you, I did a lot of flow testing, and please don't start square root numbers and all of that stuff. I'm talking to you, Chris. 10 years ago, I was teaching in San Francisco. A guy by the name of Ted Corporate, he brought me on fire. That was 10 years ago. I was teaching in San Francisco on a place like this. And I was talking about what's called my 6x6, my 6x9, my 9x6. And this guy, some of you have heard of, Dennis Laguerre, was sitting in my third row back. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine, and we've been to Scotland together. And I started talking about big water, 6x6, 6x9, 9x6. And he was there doing hydraulic formulas. And he was real nice. He went to a break and he came to me and he said, "Hey, Curt, this shit don't add up." I said, "I don't care if it adds up. I use 2 different flow meters and pitot gauges and it's right." And that's what started. Who in here is a hose geek and knows who Dennis Laguerre is? That class, that day, is what got Dennis Laguerre consumed with the swell of hose, because he was using the numbers, and he's the one that took that little bit of stuff where I just went out and played for a day, and he went and dug deep into figuring out that the hose really wasn't 2.5, was it? It was 288 or 272 or 3, and that's where that whole thing came from, that our standard traditional hydraulic formulas that we learn in hydraulics class is based on, like, for simple terms, PVC sizing, not a hose that can swell and do for different things. And that's what's cool about the fire service. Because what did I tell you yesterday? The fire service tomorrow will be what? Say it out loud. Better than today. And I go back and I think about Dennis being in that class 10 years ago, and thinking about if we didn't have that class and Dennis wasn't sitting in that class, I don't know where we'd be. Dennis and I were arguing in Scotland 10 years ago about getting into hose, and we can't get people to care about houses. I tell you that story because that's what truly makes me believe that the fire service is going to be better tomorrow than it is today, because we have people wanting to dive deep into the details. I had a slide yesterday when I was overhauling an old mobile home. What did it say? Sweat the small stuff, right? Sweat the small stuff. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. It scares me to death of what the future holds if we don't wake up and understand more about hose and how it's made, and diving deeper into it, because we got so consumed with the nozzle that we forget that what feeds the nozzle, what is the hose. And the weakest link is what's going to kill us. And understanding water supply as a whole. So, when I talk about booster backup, hitting it hard, hitting it fast, I'm not asking you to do what this gentleman said. I'm not asking you to do something stupid. I'm asking you to do what's been tested over and over again. And when I talk about things and I show you videos or pictures and I'm very passionate, it's not theory, it's reality. I understand that in our job and special operations, is there high probability that you would take a class from somebody about trench operations that's never even been involved in a trench operation? Yeah, it's very common, right? Because we need more people to teach trench operations than there are people that have actually been to a trench collapse. That's just reality. And I'm okay with that. But for me as a speaker to come from Florida and Idaho Falls, I'm not going to talk to you and teach you about stuff that I've never done just because I've read it in a book. I'm going to passionately give you what I believe, not on theory, but reality of experience. And so when I send you home, I don't want you to say, "Well, that's just his theory." No, this shit's reality based on true fire run operations. For the last 15 and a half years, I've been an overpaid fire buff standing in the front yard watching fast water work, watching booster backup work, watching gallons per second work, watching what it's like to beat up fires where we try to get a line to the second or third floor and only had a 3 or 4 person engine company doing it because everybody else was asked to do 10 other things. And then I went to a fire and I said, "Let me try that." Put like 3 engine companies on one line to the third floor of a rear courtyard side fire department. Does everybody know what I mean when I say that? Like a third floor courtyard. And you put 3 engine companies, and you're out there, and it's like this hose, and you're standing out front, you can't see the fires, you bent out into the courtyard, and you see white smoke. And you remember as a young firefighter, as I was, on that nozzle, and I couldn't even get to the courtyard, because I was running back to get more hose, and then I get a little more hose, and then I get to the second floor. What I have to do? Run back down the stairs and get some more hose, and then go back up to the top. And I was just literally until I was exhausted. And what did Chief have all the other companies doing? Stretching a second line, a third line, and ladders to the roof. And they were doing everything but what we talked about yesterday, which is time delay tactics. When really we needed all the people to do what? To get that one line to the rear third floor. When it gets up there, just put water on the fire. Then 2 of them can break off and search. We put an aerial ladder to the roof. We throw a 24-foot ground ladder. if you will. Is that a sustained supply? Is that a sustained supply? Raise your hand if that is a sustained supply. Raise your hand if you think it's not a sustained supply. It's an 1 3/4 line hooked to a fire hydrant. If the fire hydrant were to continue to operate like it does most of the time in a fire, will that 1 3/4 continue to get water to it? So is it a sustained supply? See, the problem is, that's how the minute our brain thinks based on the stuff that's been passed down to us. See, you look at that and you don't even give it any credit. But I already told you, what did NIFRS tell us that 90+% of all fires are extinguished with? Tank water or 1 3/4 line or less, 90+% of fires. So if 90% of the fires you went to, when you pulled up, this was your water supply. As soon as you pulled the parking brake on the first round of engine coming in, would this be suitable for 90% of the fires that America goes to? Yeah. More than sufficient. In fact, this 1 3/4 was giving us over 200 gallons a minute on a flow meter. Because at the end of it, it's an inch and a half. It's an inch and a half, not going down to a 7/8 or 15/16. And I want you to think about this. Somebody here that's a flow person. What is an inch and a half tip at 80 psi? What's the flow? Inch and a half tip at 80 psi. I say, yeah. So y'all got to start thinking about it now. Inch 3/8 is 500, inch and a half, 600. Eighth of an inch at 80 psi is 100 gallons per minute, yada yada. Those are little things that your pump operators just basic. This is some basic stuff you should know. But an inch and a half at 80 psi is 600 gallons a minute. So what's at the end of this hose? There's not a nozzle attached to it. Inch and a half cover. So if this hydrant could provide 80 psi, it's not. Once again, I'm just trying to open your mind that you can flow big water through small lines, depending on if you really think about what the tips is. So if 80 psi was coming out the end of this open butt hose right here, what would the supply be? 600 gallons a minute. It's the same thing I try to tell somebody when I talk about moving big water through a 2.5. And it's not in this program, I'm going to give it to you. I call it my 6x6, 6x9, 9x6. The 6x6 means that you can move up to 600 gallons a minute, up to 600 feet using 2.5. And if you get out of hydraulic formula for a 40-hour hydraulics class, it's going to say it's not possible, but it is. But you have to be using the hose that I use today that I did the test on a level stream where I used 2 different flow meters and a pitot gauge to make sure that one flow meter wasn't miscalculated the reading. Now I said up to. But that 2.5 was 2.5, which really swelled beyond 2.5 inch hose. And to get that 600 gallons a minute at 600 feet away, what was the pump discharge pressure on the engine? 250 psi. Why 250? So that's what we tested that for 5 minutes every year. And I just wanted to know what's the max amount of water I can push through a 2.5 if I had to, if I need to get a ram operator, or I need to get an inch and 3/8 tip or inch and a half tip flowing, but it was far enough away that I couldn't drive a fire truck to light bottoms and I had to stretch hose. Is that possible a lot of time on a fire run where you need some big water, but you just don't have the people or the ability to stretch? Is 5 inch realistic for us to be hand jacking and stretching more than 100 feet? No, you just put that right now. 5 inch hose, max 100 foot for a hand stretch. And plain and simple. I've done it a bunch of times. Bill Gusson wrote an awesome article on it like 15 plus years ago on 5 inch hose and the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of it being hand stretching. Basically, 5 inch hose is designed what? For a fire truck to lay it down the street. Beyond 100 feet. I'll tell you one time, a couple people were talking, and just to make sure I'll clarify it, I'll bet anybody $1,000 you can't do a hand stretch 200 plus feet. I had the biggest, strongest guy in our fire department. You look at that guy back there, right? The biggest guy. Biggest guy on our job, and he was so excited when he got to 100 feet. What happened when he got to 100 feet to come in the ground? Even the biggest guy, I'm talking about a running back guy. He was so tough, and he got to him, and he was so proud of the whole thing. He got 10 more feet, and he was dead in his tracks. Now, can he go back and get more hose? Well, when he got back to the rig, and he got more hose, and he got another 110 feet. How far was he still from the rear of the apparatus? Only 110 feet. He just had a second section on top of the third section. And then he went got the third section, and he pulled it 100 feet, and he was still only 100 feet behind the rig with 3 100-foot sections stacked on top of each other. And then he went top section, and it was even harder because what he done with the second and third section. And so by the time he got 300 feet to the hydrant to get a water supply, he was gasping for air. He was a pretty good cardio guy. And for us, that drill was to tell everybody in Scandia County that if a fire truck doesn't lay you a supply line, and you need a water supply more than 100 feet away, what should you probably revert back to get some initial water? 3 inches or 2.5. 3 inches or 2.5. I talked about it yesterday. Our rear hose beds is 1,000 feet of 5 inch, 500 feet of 3 inch, 500 feet of 2.5. The 3 inch has a water peak on it. If our drivers need a hand back stretch more than 100 feet, they're going to grab that water teeth with a little lever handle on the water teeth, a hydrant wrench. Sometimes they'll grab the 2.5 too, it's a double bed. They'll go back, they go 300 or 400 feet without missing a beat. When they get to the hydrant, they'll take that water teeth off that 3 inch, they'll put it on the opposite port that they're not using, turn on the hydrant. If they brought the 2.5 with them, what can they do with it? Hook it up to the other port, now you got a hydrant. Provide one line that's a 3 inch down the street and another one that's a 2.5 down the street. That gonna be better than nothing? That probably gonna be sufficient on 99% of your private blowing cars? Yeah. Guess what they did before the mid-90s? All across the country. That's the only thing they had. That's what they did. But see, sometimes we only know what we know. And we have to understand that, is that an ideal water supply for a significant fire? No. But sometimes a little bit's better than nothing. And accounting and appreciate for a water cannon, to a booster tank, to 2 booster tanks, to a hydrant that maybe is only giving us 200, 250, 350 gallons of water on top of this augment or supporting that fast attack tank water. We talk about fast attack. That's where the old booster tank operation happened. You study the history of fire, where they had a pumper, they had a hose wagon, right? The pumper went to the scene, the hose wagon went to the plug. And along the way, some intelligent, visionary firefighter said, well, shit, why don't we put a tank on the way? Now we have a pumper that has tank water, so we can maximize tank water until somebody can give us what? Hydrant water. And those are the things for the history of the fire service that we need to understand. All right, we've been going for about an hour. Let you get up, get rid of your coffee, get you some more coffee, get a donut, take a break. I'll count down 10, 9, 8, 7. It's time. Is that a fire?